rib cage. This is the topic about the rib cage. Suppose if we take sternum. Suppose this is our sternum. This is the manubrium sternum. This is manubrium, and here we will be having the body of the sternum. This is the body of the sternum, and here we will be having cephalic process of the sternum. So these are the sternum, manubrium, and body of the sternum, and here we will be having cephalic process. And one more, this same we are saying it is anterior. Suppose if you see the sternum port laterally, imagine this is manubrium, this is the body of the sternum, this is cephalic process. We are seeing it is laterally. So just behind me, posterior to the sternum, here we will be having thoracic vertebra. So T1, T2, T3. So here we will be having all thoracic vertebra. Just imagine, okay, this is thoracic vertebra. So between this sternum and thoracic vertebra, we have connections. Those connections are made by the bones called ribs. So here we will be having ribs. So this is what rib cage. Rib cage is nothing but the sternum and thoracic spine, and between these two we will be having ribs. The combination of sternum, thoracic spine, and ribs in the thoracic region is nothing but thoracic, rib cage is nothing but rib cage. So here we know that total in our human body will be having 12 pairs of ribs. 12 pairs. Suppose if we take the sternum here, 12 pairs of ribs. So 12 ribs will be present on this right side, 12 ribs will present on left side. So total 12 pairs of the ribs will be having on the rib cage. The first to seventh ribs are called as the true ribs. Why we will call this first to 7 ribs are true ribs means, suppose if we take here thoracic spine, and here we are having sternum. The first to 7 ribs. These ribs will start from the see correction. They will be having connection from sternum to the thoracic spine. So that first to 7 ribs are going to connect to the sternum to the thoracic spine. So this how. So these are the first 7 ribs. So the ribs are connected to the sternum. And at the same time here the ribs will be having a cartilage. Here a cartilage. This cartilage is nothing but the costal cartilage. So remember this name, costal. Where we will use this costal means wherever the bone rib is involving, there will use costal term. So here this is, imagine, first rib to 7 ribs. These all 7 ribs will connect to the costal cartilage. From the costal cartilage it will connect to the sternum. Okay, so these are the first to 7 ribs are true ribs. Then 8 to 10th ribs are little different. What is different means, here suppose these are our 8th rib, 9, 10. Okay, 8, 9, 10. So these ribs are connected to the here costal cartilage. Okay, costal cartilage will be there, but these ribs are not going to connect to the sternum directly. How other ribs are connected to the sternum? So here the costal cartilage will be like this. 3 ribs of costal cartilage will come like this. So it is going to articulate with the sternum above it. So this is about the 8 to 10 ribs. And if we take 11 and 12 ribs, this 11 and 12 ribs, suppose see here, this is our thoracic spine, this is sternum. In later view, 11th rib will be like this and 12th rib will be like this. So here the point is, here the 11 and 12th ribs are not going to connect to the sternum, so they will be like this only. So that's why these 11 and 12 ribs are called as the floating ribs in the rib cage. So this is about the ribs, how they are going to articulate with the sternum. Okay. The primary function of the rib cage. Rib cage is nothing but the, here if you take rib cage means sternum will be there, and thoracic spine will be there, then ribs will be there. So these 3 combinations are going to form the rib cage. So the primary function of the rib cage is the provide protection to the vital organs in the thorax. What are those vital organs? Here we will be having lungs and heart and esophagus. So all the vital organs which are present inside the thorax, this rib cage is going to provide protection to those structures. That is the primary function. And secondary function, again, it may help in ventilation. So this is about the rib cage. And at the same time, to provide protection, here the mobility of the thoracic spine is less compared to the cervical and lumbar regions. Mobility of the thoracic spine is less compared to the cervical and lumbar regions. If there is less mobility means, what's the point? Stability will be more. If there is less mobility means stability will be more. So by these structures it is going to provide stability. At the same time it is going to provide protection to the vital organs. Okay. Now we will see articulations of rib cage. Articulations nothing but the joints. Which are all joints we can see in the rib cage. If we come to articulations, first one here, articulation manubriosternal articulation. This is one articulation. And second one siphisternal. And second one siphisternal articulation. These 2 articulations. And next one costovertebral articulation. And one more transverse articulation. And again here we will be having costochondral. Here costochondral, costochondral, and one more will be having here chondrosternal, chondrosternal. So these are the articulations, and here one more articulation will be there, that is a interchondral. So these are the articulations. Here simply we'll see, simply like one idea, here manubriosternal joint, that is NS manubriosternal, siphisternal, that is XS siphisternal joint, vertebral costal BC joint, and costovertebral, here costovertebral, and here costotransverse joint, here costochondral joint, it is costochondral joint, here it is chondrosternal joint, here interchondral joint. Manubriosternal joint means this is manubrium, this is body of the sternum. The connection between manubrium and body of the sternum is manubriosternal joint. Siphisternal, the connection between xiphoid process to the body of the sternum is siphisternal joint. And costovertebral joint, what is this costovertebral joint means? Suppose if we take one vertebra, thoracic vertebra, either T1, okay, T3 or T4. Here we will be having transverse processes of the vertebrae. Suppose if the rib is coming from here, coming from here, imagine if the rib is attached to the body of the vertebra, that is costovertebral joint. If the rib is, suppose this is the rib, okay, if the rib is attached to the body of the vertebra, that is costovertebral joint. Suppose same one more rib, okay, here I am taking one more rib. So if the rib is attaching to the transverse process of the spine, then it is costotransverse joint, So that here one rib will be having costovertebral joint, at the same time costotransverse joint, and here costochondral joint means here if we take sternum, if we take sternum here, this is, imagine this is body of the sternum, this manubrium, this is xiphoid process. Suppose one rib is there. So when the rib is attaching to the cartilage, here I told costal cartilage. So this is costal cartilage. The connection between costal cartilage and rib, is costochondral joint. The connection between costal cartilage and rib is costochondral joint. And chondrosternal. So the connection between this cartilage to the sternum is called as the chondrosternal joint. So these are about the articulations of the rib cage. Now we'll see gross view. Suppose here I am taking these are one thoracic vertebra, okay, T3 and T4 thoracic vertebra. Here we will be having sternum. This is manubrium sternum. This is siphisternum. This is body of the sternum. This is manubrium. This is xiphoid process. Now we are seeing this entire thing in lateral view. Okay. Lateral view. So now I am taking one rib. Okay, I am taking one rib. Imagine here will be having transverse process. So here I took one rib. The rib will be having here the joint costovertebral joint, and then it is coming like this. Rib. So when it is attached to the transverse process, here will be having costotransverse joint. Then the rib is coming like this. So here I am extending this body just to understand. Okay, the rib came like this. So here it will be having costal cartilage. The connection between rib and costal cartilage. The joint is called as the costochondral joint, and the costal cartilage is attached to the sternum, That joint is nothing but the chondrosternal joint, and here the connection between manubrium and body of the sternum, here manubriosternal joint, here the connection between xiphoid process and sternum, that is siphisternal joint. So these are the articulations of the rib cage. We'll see one articulation, one joint in one. We'll see one articulation separately. Okay.